let's see. Let's see how we go. Let's see how we go. Let's see how we go. Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. Leeds United have won yet another game of football. I know, it's very, very weird. We don't tend to do this particularly often, but we've started doing it now, and there is absolutely no reason for us to stop doing it because we are on quite a decent run of performances. So, in this stream, going to have a little bit of a chat about the match, going to have a little bit of a chat with you guys about what you thought about what was going on. Some particular notes on some players that I think stood out, some players that I think maybe blended in quietly to the background, but could be an important note to keep a little bit of an eye on. And ultimately, just sort of have a little bit of a chill with the chat and all that kind of vibe. So, to begin with, this is going to be one of those streams where I get to be a little bit smug. And I'm not going to sort of run through exactly why I get to be a little bit smug, but these are my notes for my preview video that I did yesterday. And it includes this, which I wrote down a decent period before the match. And let's just sort of bring it into focus. I'm going to hide my face so it works. Predicted lineup: Darlow, Strauch, Beal, Justin, Bogle, Tanaka Ampadu, Goodmanson, Aronson, Okafor, DCL. Very, very, very happy with that. Didn't quite expect that to go quite as well. And I said, same aggressive kind of lineup because we're going to be sort of trying to snap into the challenge. Hoping for a high energy style, outnumber them in the wide areas, which we did. In addition to that, you need to make sure that you're sort of trying to force them into mistakes because their side is already mentally shot. They're effectively down, especially after we beat them just now. West Ham need a single point and Wolves need to win every single remaining match this season. That isn't going to happen. Like, there is no way in hell that that happens. So at the moment, we're looking pretty damn cozy and we really sort of beat that into them. The morale already being on the floor meant that they kept making those little mistakes, passing the ball directly out of play, passing the ball to our players, and it stacked up, and it stacked up, and it stacked up to ultimately end with us looking pretty damn dominant. In the first half, came into it all guns blazing. Again, attacking those wide areas, firing balls inside, Calvert-Lewin getting on the end of chances, not quite putting them away. Relatively unfortunate, in my opinion, to not get a goal earlier on. Did end up getting one a little bit later on, which is absolutely wonderful, from a penalty, so a lot of people will be like, well, that doesn't count quite so much. Absolutely does. A goal is a goal. Anyone that's like, that penalty is a bit less impressive. Doesn't matter to me. Is the ball in the back of the net? Yes. Perfect. You've done your job. Sorry, I'm keeping a little bit of an eye on, you can see it up here, on the Spurs match, just to see what's going on there. Currently 1-1. In my opinion, if Spurs lose that, we are definitely out of Spurs range because I don't see them getting 9 points more than us in 5 games remaining in the season. That one is not going to happen, in my opinion. I keep saying in my opinion because I know that if I overcommit, people will be like, you said the thing. I'm going to keep saying the thing. I think that we're fine, to be honest with you. When it comes to my notes from the match, I didn't take too many because I was working at the same time. This is the extent of my notes. The first one is just quite simply incredible Justin goal. Good evening, Dr. Cox. Sorry, I've just seen the comment. And get your comments flowing in. We'll have a little bit of a natter about everything, and I'll continue to be relatively smug about how things are going quite well. Haha. But that James Justin goal was very, very, very nice. Set up brilliantly by Noah Okafor. When you have a look at it the first time round, you see Okafor sort of get the ball in his general direction, and he takes a touch, and it's a touch that basically goes straight up. And you're sort of thinking to yourself, why have you done that, Noah? What's going on there? And then James Justin, the ball is perfectly cushioned just so he can be like, let's give it a go. Bicycle kick, beautiful stuff. Nutmegs the goalkeeper, which I only saw on a replay. But that is potentially one of the most embarrassing things to happen to you as goalkeeper. So, very, very, very funny. Big fan of that one. I'm doing pretty damn good, Dr. Cox. I hope you're well as well. It has been a little bit of time because I don't stream so much recently because baby, but I'm aiming to get sort of back into that. If you can hear the cat, by the way, I apologise. Hello, Kita. There we go. With Brighton holding Spurs, it'll be a good weekend. I think Brighton more than hold Spurs. Brighton have looked significantly better than Spurs so far in this match, and I think they will continue to do so, which is beautiful stuff. That was immediately followed by a very, very nice finish from Noah Okafor, including an incredibly well-weighted ball from Jayden Bogle as well. Bogle's sort of on-the-ball ability is something that is incredibly underrated. hold on, wait a second. I'm going to switch over to this one. There we go. So I've got the chat. Where Mark has said, perhaps controversially, I think Okafor's goal is better, not the finish, but the pass and the cross. Absolutely agreed. That cross coming in is perfectly weighted. I don't know if it has a little bit of a deflection on the way, but Okafor's finish as well is so incredibly composed that I don't think there is a goalkeeper in the league that can stop that. The pace that it comes across and the fact that with one touch he just slots it home is spectacular. And is another sign that the recruitment that we've done this summer has been pretty damn good. A lot of people will look at it and go, hello. But I think, to be completely honest with you, there's not too much more that could have been done. Hold on, I'm gonna put the cat in the hallway so she doesn't keep meowing on camera. Yeah, because you're distracting, and I like to be able to stream knowing what I'm saying. There we go. So that was the Okafor finish, which is very nice. Team Iris. Yes, Team Iris is currently outside having food. I don't know why she came in to cause shenanigans, but she did. But yeah, I think there's a strong argument for Okafor's goal being better because of the way that it was set up for him, but then again, it's a bicycle kick from a fullback. I was chatting with Joe at half-time over on Big Up, and the way that he said it was, when we went up under Bielsa, the moment that he knew we were promoted was when Ayling scored that goal, because you don't score Di Canio-esque goals like that as a fullback unless something really, really good is happening throughout the season. He said roughly the same thing. If you're a fullback and you're scoring a bicycle kick in the opposing box, then you're just kind of stunting on the other team, and the moment you hit that point, there's not too much that other sides can do to try and stop you. And that was a pretty damn good point, to be completely honest. And then the match went a little bit weird. I'll be honest, I was working at the same time, so not all of my attention was on this match. But that's where things got a little bit odd. That's where things got a little bit less sort of grabby. Wolves sort of worked their way into the match a little bit more. And in the first half, they didn't have a ton of chances. They had a couple. Like, I think Calvert-Lewin cleared the ball off the line again. He's proving to be a very, very good sort of... Brighton crossing the ball in. He's proving to be a very good sort of, like, on-the-line defender in a weird way. Like, it's an odd thing to say for a centre-forward, but he's starting to be ridiculously good at that. But as things are sort of going on and evolving and all this kind of stuff, it's getting odd to see that we have these little drop-offs. And to be fair, we played on Monday, now we're playing on Saturday. That might be part of why we're dropping off. And it could be a case of trying to look after ourselves and make sure we're not injured once we're 2-0 up. It's fine. But I think allowing threat like that is a little bit spooky, I reckon. Dr. Cox says James Justin has been a good addition for 10 million quid. I think I agree, and it's one of the weird ones where earlier in the season you had so many people all shouting at the same time and saying, why have we signed Bornow for 3 or 4 million quid because he's just going to sit on the bench? Why have we signed James Justin because he's just going to wait behind Bogle and behind Goodmanson? But I think we're now gradually getting to see the bigger picture a little bit more. We're now getting to see that actually recruitment does know what it's doing, because you do, hello, ball in, a little bit dangerous, well cleared. But we're starting to see that you do need an actually deep squad in the Premier League, because once you peel back beyond Joe Rodon gets injured, who is the sort of cover right back when Bogle goes on his wanders. Who have you got there? And signing James Justin, who can do right back, left back, centre back, is the perfect solution to that. And that is a very, very good point as well. Leicester are now falling apart too. And I think we might have played a little bit of a part in that. Off the top of my head, if I remember rightly, Leicester need to win every single one of their remaining games now. And they have 1 point worth of flexibility before they are also down. They are 8 points off safety with 9 points to play for. Leicester are done. And I think we've done a good job in picking out the talent from that Leicester side that went down and putting ourselves in a very, very good position. Dr. Cook says, I was very apprehensive myself, but he's shown his worth and his leadership's been very good. He has, yeah. And that's why I think this summer I'm going to be more willing to give the recruitment team that little bit extra leeway. Hold on, good ball in. Shoot. There's an argument for handball. It's not getting given. Not quite. But I think they've earned the right to say, look, we know what we're doing. We can build a good squad, and they've continually built good squads and are in the process of still building a good side. Like, if you think about the situation that's got to be a corner. Yeah, there we go. If you think about the situation that they inherited, which was relegation, half the squad's fucked off, and you've got to rebuild within that. I think they've done a damn good job to build what is basically Daniel Farke's perfect side. And on the subject of Daniel Farke, I think he's been pretty much spot on too. There's no point where I've seen Daniel Farke this season and I've gone, you've consistently made the wrong move. Because since that tactical shift in the match against Man City, it's all sort of started to add up a little bit more. And it's pointing everything in sort of the right direction. I'm going to deal with what Dr. Cox said here next, because my next note is that Darlow has been frankly ridiculous. That save that he made from it might have been a corner. It was definitely a set piece, and he's moving across the net. Ball comes from the direction that he was in, and he just sort of reaches and I'll try and get my arm in, tips. Spectacular stop. It's the sort of thing that is completely against his momentum. It's far more difficult than if it was really far that way, because really far that way you're already going there. Whereas sort of medium distance this direction, you're working against yourself in a weird way. But managing to get that stop is frankly brilliant and makes me very, very happy, to be honest, to have two keepers that I honestly believe are sort of starting goalkeeper level. I think the reason that Perry was dropped so quickly was less because Perry is bad and more because Farke had, at that point, seen that Darlow can be a starting goalkeeper for Leeds, because he had done at the end of last season. And in addition to that, wrong way, ref. And in addition to that, had seen that, okay, if I keep a goalkeeper that isn't performing in place for too long, things start to spiral. I think that's what we sort of ended up with the Perry situation. So for me, very, very much happy with Darlow as a starting goalkeeper. I don't think Perry will be sold on. I think Perry sticks around. But I think we do look for a third keeper. Whether that's someone young that is potentially upcoming, I don't know. But we can't go into next season with just Perry, Darlow, because then one of them gets injured. Cool, you've got the other one to go in, but what if the next one gets injured? At that point, you're sort of calling in Rory Mahady and going, please be good enough, which is a pretty big thing to put on a youth player. I think if you're looking at youth players as a goalkeeper in the Premier League, it's not going to work out for you. Like, it didn't work out particularly well for West Ham in the FA Cup match, because it's hard to say that he was overcome by the occasion, but he sort of was in a weird way. He sort of was in the way that he was like, no, actually, I'm definitely good enough for this. And that led to him getting a little bit smug and doing the whole, oh, I nearly saved it. Well, you didn't. Keep yourself a bit more humble and maybe you'll get there next time. But if you're thinking, I might as well have gotten there, so it's fine. Bad mentality for me. I have seen that the papers are saying a lot of Trafford. The sort of thought around Trafford is City have always liked to have two starting level goalkeepers within their squad. Man City have always liked to go, right, okay, we've got Ortega, we've got Edison. Okay, Ortega, left. Edison, left. Okay, so we've got Trafford, we've got Donnarumma. Two starting goalkeepers is what they do. So it'd have to be a case of if Trafford leaves, which at most it's going to be on loan, then they've probably got to get someone else in, because I don't know if they've got a third goalkeeper, to be honest with you. Hold on. Let's have a look. FB ref. Let's have a look. It depends if Perry's settled in Leeds or not. I think he will have done. And to be honest, like, players need a season or so to get more familiar with new leagues, no matter where they are in the world, and to get more familiar with the Premier League of all leagues is going to be one of the most challenging. So I completely understand why he's maybe had a little bit of sort of an issue getting accustomed. Let's have a look at Man City. Let's see what they've got in terms of 21 keepers. Bettinelli is the next goalkeeper in the list, so definitely not a sort of potential starter, which is potentially a little bit of an issue. So it depends on if Trafford really pushes for it. If Trafford does really push hard for it, then I'm down for getting James Trafford in. But then you've also got to consider he's not going to be a long-term option for you in net, because, well, City will want him back if he performs well, and if he doesn't perform well, then you're not going to want him, which is kind of tricky. So I think the Perry-Darlow combination works reasonably well at the moment. And then as things went on, I think we went into sort of preservation mode. I think Daniel Farke was in a position of looking at our schedule coming up, which is, let's have a quick look. Brentford in 3, no, it's not, that's the wrong direction. There we go. Bournemouth in 4 days' time on Wednesday, which is not the best of days, especially when you consider that Chelsea have their match before us, which is a little bit of a pain in the arse, but that's okay. They'll have a little bit more rest. Okay. I think it was a case of resting a few legs, making sure that Joe Rodon was okay, and making sure that we weren't in a position of actually endangering players. That's why we took Noah Okafor off, for example. Okafor, we know, is occasionally at risk of injury, so if we can take him off and keep him a little bit safer, absolutely do that every day of the week. It's a far safer way of doing it. That's potentially going to make Bournemouth a little bit interesting. Because at the moment, I think in terms of points, we are safe. I don't think Spurs catch it at this point. And I also think, to be honest, neither did West Ham. Forest would be a little bit of a 50-50. For me, you might want to rest a few players against Bournemouth. Make sure that everyone is fit and healthy and raring to go against Chelsea. Because in my opinion, that's going to be the real sort of... That's the big ticket item. We know that we can beat Chelsea. Because if we have a look at it, in our recent matches against Chelsea, why are you not showing the head-to-head? There we go. This season we've not lost to them. 2-2 draw against them in February, 3-1 win in December. Before that, we played them in the FA Cup, and we looked genuinely good value, also under Daniel Farke. And before that, you're in the sort of era where Daniel Farke's not the manager, so it's not quite the most accurate in terms of sort of data and using it as a trend and working out what's going to happen there. Looks like Archie's going to be coming on, which should make things a little bit interesting. I think this season we've shown that we are good enough to beat Chelsea. I think we've shown that we are good enough to sort of take on basically any team in the league, except probably Arsenal because of the 9-0 aggregate. But then again, I am firmly of the opinion that Arsenal are going to somehow bottle it, which is going to be incredibly funny. I think if we save a few players for the Chelsea match against Bournemouth, then that might be the way to go. Farke's won me over 90% this season. Only 90%? Where's the 10? Because it's not at Leeds United, because we didn't end up signing one. No, but where is that 10% gap? Because I think, to be honest, there's not too much more that he could have done this season. A lot of people are saying, even if it's on goal difference, 17th place will do. And that's fair enough, because that is survival. And at the moment, we are 15th relatively comfortably. I'd say that we're in the fight to sort of overtake Newcastle. If the jury's still out for you, I sort of want to know why. Because if you look at his performances, first season, 90 points, yeah, sure, we didn't get promoted, but that is a fantastic record. The season afterwards, 100 points, a club record, which is genuinely fantastic. Season after that, Premier League survival, FA Cup semi-final, potentially more. I don't think there's too much more that needs to be done. Yeah, the two teams above us are definitely within reach. Sure, Palace have a couple of games in hand, which means that they can run away, but Newcastle are very catchable. If you have a look at their record, they've lost 3 on the bounce, and it doesn't look like they're going to really recover too much at any point soon. Like, their upcoming matches, they've got Arsenal next, they've got Brighton after that, Brighton who are looking very... That's a goal kick. Brighton who are looking very, very nice against Spurs right now. They've got Forest afterwards who will be scrapping for their lives. They've got West Ham after that who will be scrapping for their lives. And last day of the season, they've got Fulham. Fulham who are looking better than Newcastle this season. I think we potentially overtake Newcastle here. Looking above that, Fulham might be a little bit of a stretch. Sunderland might be a bit of a stretch. They are currently 7 points above us. I don't see that one happening. But I don't see any reason that we don't get past Newcastle, to be honest. And honestly, I'm not looking behind us anymore. That is a very nice ball in. Damn. Cut out, though. And at the end of the day, I kind of want to see where things end up. And I think they'll end up pretty good for us. Little bit of good recruitment this season, and I can genuinely see us being mid-table next year. Anyway, I'm going to keep this a relatively short stream because I still need to eat. I've only had a breakfast sandwich this morning. And outside of that, I've not really had much, but that's completely fine. If you enjoyed the stream, please pop a like on it. It's always much appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a channel member as well. You get a bunch of bonus stuff, including a bunch of videos early and all that kind of shebang. Gonna leave that there. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all later. And if you've been confused about some random noises that you've been hearing throughout the video, I've been fiddling with a football pump. because I have ADHD, haven't had my medication, and I like to fidget with things. See you later.